All right, guys, bring it in, please. All right, so we started our guard passing series last week, and I want to continue to review the steps so that we get them in our brain as a concept. There's no point in just memorizing the steps if you're not making use of it. So keep in mind they don't always have to go in this order, and there's some passes that do both things at once. But it's almost like if you know what you're trying to do as a big picture, it's going to take you further, faster than just learning robotic movements. Now, we are going to get into the specific passes and how to do them, but at the beginning phases, I want you guys to actually understand what has got to happen for me to successfully pass the guard. So, last week we went over steps 1 and 2, which is breaking connection if they have a connection, and making their feet point away from us. So we're just going to really quickly, generically cover the steps, and then we'll get into the details of it, okay? So first and foremost, if he has connections to me that are dangerous, I have to address them first, okay? So if you don't have connection to him, we skip this step. Can anybody remember what I'm deciding if the connection is dangerous or not? There's two things that I'm asking myself. Angle, can I make an angle? So if he's stopping me from cutting the angle, that's a problem. What else? Posture and balance. So if he's starting to affect my posture and my balance, I've got to address that. Okay? If they're not bothering me in that way, then I don't even have to address it. So we went over breaking the connection with De La Riva, straddling the leg, things like that. Once that's done, or if we skip that step altogether, go supine please. I have to make his feet point away from me, the soles of his feet. Okay? Now, I can do that a lot of different ways. I can make them point up and away. I can even make them point down and away. And I can make them point left and right, like the leg jack. Another way that I can make them point away from me is if I can come into what we're calling a staging position. So you guys see his feet are no longer pointing at me, they're pointing away from me. So however we're going to get this done, that's step number 2. Step number 3 is finding an advantage within a neutral position. So everybody kind of understands that the guard is technically neutral. So he doesn't have an advantage, I don't have an advantage, technically. So what we're going to do is we're going to start looking for the micro advantages within the neutral position. So that's what we're calling the staging positions. We'll get into more details of that later, but this is just a perfect example. We're going to call this position right here the battle station. This is a really good position for me to start my passing. Okay, I'm technically, according to the scoreboard, I'm not in an advantage here, but if I can get this advantage, it's going to start to take a toll on him over the course of the match. Okay, number 4 is get his knees pointed away from me. So an example of this would just be the double under pass. It does all these at once. So his feet are pointing away from me, his knees are pointing away from me now as well. And this is obviously an advantageous position for me within what would be considered a neutral position. Okay, the knees pointing away from you are one of the hardest things to do. So we go over a couple of different things. So if his knees are pointing towards me, I can do push passes, over under passes. We'll get into that more. But there's 2 main things that I want you guys to remember. If I can't make his knees point away from me manually, I can't push them, I have to make the angle to go around them. So the 2 main ways I do that, if his knees are pointing directly at me, I can staple and go around to the back. So now I'm moving myself around so the end goal is the same. His knees are pointing away. Or I can do a cartwheel pass. So if he's heavily facing this way, I can't get his knees to point away, then I can just jump over. Okay, so that is controlling the knee issue. And then steps 5 and 6 are killing the hip line. So I've seen, and I've been watching people as we're getting ready to compete, I've seen people so close to passing the guard, they get to the hip line and they meet resistance where the person's stripping, and then they just disengage, and all that work was for nothing. Passing the guard is not easy. So you have to have it in your mind that especially once you get to the hip line right here, you have to track the hips. Like, I don't know how to drill it in our heads to make it that important. Everything that you've done, if you get here, this is when you want to use your effort, right? This is when you're going to track the hips. Like if you're hunting and you finally found the prey, you're going to keep after it once you find it. So that's what's happening here. You want to track the hips, and you don't want to go straight to the head and shoulders. So if I'm here and he's going crazy, I don't have his hips under control, I go straight for his head, he's gonna be able to get a knee in, okay? So all that work is for nothing if we don't do that. And then of course the last step is pinning the head and shoulders for the pass. All right, so that's the broad overview. I really wanted to get into the specific passes, but I'm gonna wait just a little bit longer because there's some connections that we have to address. So it doesn't seem like guard passing, but it's critical to be able to break connections. So what we're gonna go over today is breaking the closed guard, okay? If you find yourself in closed guard, this is, I would like you guys to have warning bells go off. This is not a safe place. I don't want you guys to feel comfortable in someone's closed guard, because what happened is we go to tournaments and we were getting submitted in other people's closed guard. So we're not the biggest closed guard school. We play a lot of half guard, but people are really dangerous with their closed guard. So first we're gonna go over a couple different ways to open it, but I want you guys to understand, super important. I would much rather you get knocked back and have the opportunity to come back up or even get swept than get submitted, okay? So if he's getting my head over, he has his hips available to my upper body. This is really dangerous. So I see, and I'm guilty of it as well, a lot of times I will stall in their closed guard, hoping that I don't get swept. Meanwhile, I'm risking getting submitted, okay? So first things first in the closed guard, there's a bunch of different ways to do this. So just generally, I'm gonna go over my favorite one first, okay? This one works because I have his upper body control. If I do not have his upper body controlled, I do not do this one, okay? Again, this is my personal favorite. I do it a lot, so I've gotten pretty good at it, but if you're just trying it here and there, you're gonna have to really work on it because it's like you get a really good feel for it. So first I'm gonna be in his biceps here, and I'm gonna scoop my knees back. Okay, I don't want him making an angle going underneath my knees. If his head and core moves, I have to stay in line with him. I don't want him making an angle on me. Okay, so my arms are here. Because I have his upper body, my head is gonna go down and my butt is gonna come up. Okay, from here, I stand up. Now, I'm gonna walk. The key to this one here is the angle of my knee. So I put my knee right behind his butt and I squat with my knee up and down, right in the middle. Now, immediately I'm in a little bit of danger for him to sweep me this way. I have no base, so I'm gonna lean heavy this way, okay? I have my arm here, nice and tight, and then usually their guard will be open, but if it's not, there's a way that you can just slide through to the knee slice pass, okay? So again, I have both of my hands on his armpits, I scoot back, my butt comes up and I just walk up. So I really want my knee in between his butt crack, honestly. So when I drop to my knee, I go straight up and down, and it should come right through. Okay, this one doesn't always work, but this is my favorite option. It feels like I'm not risking as much. Okay, watch the angle of my knee. When I go to squat, imagine that his butt is right here. Okay, this is his butt crack. If I squat at this angle, it's not gonna go through. Okay, I wanna squat where my knee and foot are straight up and down, because there's only a little bit of room. So if I come at this angle, there's like this much room that my knee's not gonna go through. Okay, so when you're going to stand up, I put it in the middle and I squat straight up and down. This is the most important detail. Okay, so let's just do that for about 5-10 minutes, and if we have time, we'll add on to it. Questions about this? Again, if I do this without upper body control, I'm gonna get submitted. So if I try to stand up and I don't have his upper body, he can make angles and start attacking me right away. So I have to be able to pin his shoulders down. Okay? Questions? All right, guys, get a partner. Let's drill it. On 3, 1, 2. There we go.